Hi, my name's Noah and I'm the President of the University of South Australia Students Association. Today I'm going to be joined by Brendan, the Director of Student Engagement Unit, and Vanessa, the Deputy Director of Student Academic Services, to talk through all of the initiatives that the University of South Australia implemented to support students through COVID-19. Now this presentation won't be exhaustive, but what we've decided to do is give just a high-level overview of the most important initiatives that supported students through the pandemic. So you may have seen this timeline before. However, what we've decided to do is highlight a few particular initiatives that were really important to students, namely the census grace period, non-graded passing and withdraw-fail grading, and of course we couldn't miss the Student Hardship Fund. So firstly, we'll talk about the census grace period. The original census date at the University of South Australia was the 31st of March. This was extended to the 1st of May as a result of the COVID pandemic to provide students with some time to work out if adapting to online study was possible for them and whether they'd be able to engage with their studies effectively. This just provided students with some space and breathing room in a time where we didn't even know what was going to be happening in the near future. The next initiative was the non-graded passing and withdraw-fail grade conversions. This provided students with some surety that in the event that their performance was impacted this semester as a result of COVID, they had a bit of a safety net to be able to help them adjust their grades slightly in the event they just couldn't quite engage with online study or if there was difficulties that faced them during the pandemic. The Student Hardship Fund was a massive initiative undertaken by the university to financially support students who were doing it tough during COVID. As of August, over $9 million has been given out to over 4,000 students who are suffering from COVID-induced hardship. But this is absolutely probably one of the most important initiatives that was done by the university, as it has literally kept roofs over people's heads. It's kept food in fridges. It's helped people to be able to engage with their studies in a time where there was just so much disruption. The Student Hardship Fund supplemented the already established USASA financial counselling program. This program provided students with a one-on-one session with a financial counsellor and up to $500 of emergency aid in the event they needed to pay bills or rent or food, anything that they needed to be able to continue their studies.
Hi, my name's Vanessa Matthews and I'm going to share a little bit about what happened behind the scenes in terms of all of the supports that were provided for students during COVID. So one of the big things that happened was the communications and effort that was put into making sure that all of the communications that were being provided to students were in student-friendly language and also consistent, so that there was one university message going out to students to reduce any confusion during this really challenging time for people to understand what was happening. So the types of things that we did were FAQs, so we ended up with 270 at least FAQs on the COVID-19 webpage that was created, and we did things like increase the frequency of the student newsletter as well. So normally that's fortnightly and that started going out weekly as well, so students were able to keep up to date with news and get hints and tips about what they could do while they're in isolation, as well as some tips for learning online as well. One of the other initiatives that we undertook was to really focus on communicating to students and staying in touch with them. So whilst we knew academic staff were doing a lot of proactive outreach to students, we also had a group of staff that were purely dedicated during the last few months to contact students, and that included all of our students that were offshore, some who had never been able to make it to Australia and those who had sort of been stranded offshore due to the travel ban. And we also contacted all of our first year commencing students as well as students that we knew were at potential academic risk. So we made telephone calls, emailed students, just to check on their well-being and also to see how they were transitioning to the online learning environment and to be able to refer them to any support that they might have needed. So whilst many students told us they were doing okay, they really appreciated the telephone calls and really felt the university cared a lot about them during that time. So that was a really positive initiative that we did. Noah talked before about the Student Hardship Fund, and we also had an international student support package provided by the state government as well for our international students. There was a lot of activity that went on behind the scenes to make this a reality and to be able to get that $9 million plus out to our students. And it's a really great example of how people across the university collaborated and worked across boundaries. We had over 30 staff that came together from at least 10 different areas of the university, all coming together as a virtual team because everybody, as you know, were working from home, and they worked tirelessly. Many hours were put in to come up with processes and procedures, and doing a lot of contact with the thousands and thousands of students who were applying through that fund. So this was a great initiative, and one that is a true example of everyone in UniSA operating as one team.
Hi, I'm Brendan Hughes, and it's my turn to talk to you about some of the other opportunities that we took to support students through COVID-19. As you know, we went online at pace, and again, there was a lot of work happening behind the scenes and in the Teaching Innovation Unit and across our academic units. And at the time, we were still in divisions and schools to be able to go from classroom to online. So kudos to all involved with that. But also, we were able to maintain some events that took place online in collaboration with USASA, with Unitopia, and supporting that well-being, which we know is very important. We had an increased demand on our workshops for careers because jobs is important, so being able to support students in that facility, to be able to have peer-assisted study support sessions go online, leadership opportunities, all while maintaining student services to be able to support students with their health and well-being, and obviously supporting the different initiatives that Vanessa mentioned previously. So we've done a lot in a short period of time, but also we're not through COVID-19 yet. So there's other things that we're currently in train, and we've been supporting students with their interest in finding employment, because that's one of the reasons why there is such a high demand of student hardship. So that's in the student hardship website page. We've also realized that students are presenting to community organizations seeking food relief. So we've been working with Food Bank SA to do a food drive on all of our campuses, stemming from the success that UniSA Business did as an initial initiative, and to be able to support students with their financial, their employment, their food needs, and then also to make sure that they're still busy and able to focus on their studies, which is our principal motivator. And also for study period 5, to be able to support students with orientation, we moved to an online orientation format, which was previously only done with UniSA Online, and that was able to allow us to welcome students who were both coming on campus after the restrictions have eased in South Australia, to support them, as well as those new commencing students who may have been starting from overseas and hoping to come to study with us as soon as possible.
As an institution, we have responded admirably to the COVID pandemic, but there is always more that we can do. If you have any ideas or suggestions, make sure that you get in touch with us. Make sure that you look out for yourselves, look out for each other, so we can continue to look out for our students.